guys, this is Mrs. Delise in here. Welcome to another lesson of Algebra 2. This lesson is using completing the square to solve quadratic equations. Before you watch this video, please make sure that you've already watched Quadratics 4.2, which is how to complete the square. Okay, let's have our first example. We have an x minus 5 squared minus 36 equal to 0. And if you've watched Quadratics 4.2 already, you would recognize that this is what we call the vertex form. And in this video, I would always ask you what the vertex form is before we solved it. Okay? Before we solve for the value of x. So because our goal is to solve for the value of x, we need to kick out everything that we have on the left side to the right side. Of course, except the value of x. The x would stay. Let's try that out. We have x minus 5 squared minus 36 equal to 0. And because we need to kick out the 36, we need to add that on both sides. And we're going to end up with x minus 5 equals 36. And now we have to kick out this squared in here. And to undo squaring, we square root both sides. And we are now left with x minus 5 equals. And remember, I always remind you that when we try to solve for the value of x in a square root, we always have two answers, one positive and one negative. And so I'm going to put plus and a minus in there now. What is the square root of 36? Oh, 36 is a perfect square, right? Because 6 times 6 is 36. So we're going to have x minus 5 plus and minus 6. Okay. Now, we remember our goal is to leave x alone. Right now, the x is not alone. It has a negative 5 in there. So I need to kick the negative 5 out of the way. So I'll have to add 5 on both sides. I'm going to have x equals 5 plus and minus 6. Now I need to take a look because sometimes we'll end up with a number that we can no longer combine. But in this case, can we still combine 5 plus 6 and 5 minus 6? I think we can. So we're going to have x equals 5 plus 6. And then we also have 5 minus 6. All right, let's take a look at these two. 5 plus 6 will give us 11. So one of our answers is going to be 11. 5 minus 6 will give us a negative 1. And so our final answers are negative 1, comma, positive 11. Okay, and that's how you will solve the value of x or solve quadratic equation from a vertex form. Now, what if we're not given a standard form, a vertex form? What if it's in the standard form? Let's try to have an example. We have x squared plus 4x minus 12. I think that is too small for, okay, over here x squared plus 4x minus 12 equal to 0. Let me just check if we got it correct. Plus 4x minus 12. Okay, I'm transferring it so we can have more space. And remember, if you've watched completing the square video, you will know that we need to have a perfect square trinomial. And in order for us to identify what makes a perfect square trinomial, we need to take the b value divide that by 2 and square that. So we'll have what is our b? 4. 4 divided by 2 and square that. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 squared is equal to 4. So we need to have a 4 in here plus 4. We need to have a 4 in there to make a perfect square trinomial. But right now, it's not a 4. It's a negative 12, so we need to kick out the negative 12. Does that make sense? So that we need to kick out the negative 12 so we have a space to put the 4 in. What do we do with the negative 12? Should we add 12 on both sides? Okay, add 12 on both sides. And we're going to end up with x squared plus 4x equals 12. And now we have a space to put our 4 in. And let me do that. X squared plus 4x plus 4. And remember, whatever you do to the left, you do to the right. Just like whatever you do to the right, you do to the left. And I think this one is really easy. 12 plus 4 is 16. What should I do now? I think I would need to factor x squared plus 4x plus 4. And so I am looking for a number that when I multiply, I will get 4. So I'm looking for two numbers that when I multiply these two numbers, I'll get positive 4. And when I add to the same numbers, I will get a positive 4. Easy, right? Very, very easy. Pull positive 2. So if I have an x plus 2 and an x plus 2, let's check. Will 2 times 2 will give us a positive 4. 2 plus 2 will give us a positive 4. So we got it right. And then let us combine them into x plus 2 squared equals 16. And now it looks like we have a vertex form, right? So let us take this 16 out to move it to the other side so it could be equal to 0. Let's have x, wrong one, x plus 2 squared minus 16 equal to 0. And this is what we call the vertex form. And now it looks like what we did earlier, right? Let's take a look at what we did earlier. Let me move it a little bit. So you know how I have an x minus 5 squared minus 36 equals 0 in here? It looks like it matches with this one now. And hopefully you know how to manipulate from here. So this one right here is how I converted standard form into vertex form. And then onto the right, let's solve x plus 2 squared minus 16 equal to 0. So x plus 2 squared equals positive 16. And then let's square root both sides. I'll end up with x plus 2 plus and minus square root of 16. Hey, what's the square root of 16? Square root of 16 is 4, right? So I'm going to have x plus 2 equals plus and minus 4. And I still have a positive 2. I need to kick that out. So I'm going to minus 2 on both sides. I'm going to end up with x equals negative 2 plus and minus positive 4. I usually write the one that I moved. So I usually write that first. But it doesn't matter. You could always have a plus and minus 4 minus 2. That doesn't matter. But I wanted to have the plus and a minus in the middle so it's not harder for me to solve it. And now I think I can combine those two. I will have x equals negative 2 plus 4, x equals negative 2 minus 4. Negative 2 plus 4 will give you a positive 2. Negative 2 minus 4 will give you a negative 6. So your two answers are negative 6 and positive 2. And let's put that, where is our blank? Right here. Negative 6 and positive 2. Okay, so we have right here. Hopefully that was not that bad. Let's have another example. X squared minus 14x plus 9. So let's write that again in here. We have x squared minus 14x. What was that? Sorry. Plus 9. Okay. Plus 9 equal to 0. So, first step. We need to make this a perfect square trinomial. I don't think 9 would make it a perfect square trinomial. Let's see. Do you remember what to do? You take the b value, divide by 2, and square it. So you have negative 14 divided by 2. That's negative 7 squared equals 49. Oh, uh-oh. We have a 9. And for it to be a perfect square trinomial, we need a 49 added in there. But that is not a 49. That is a 9. So we need to kick that out. Okay, let's kick that out. We need to move that away from the left side to the right side. So should we subtract 9 on both sides? Let's do that. So we have x squared minus 14x equals positive 9. And then I now have space to add my 49 in there. So I'll add 49 in there. Remember, whatever you add to the left, you add to the right. And that way, it's the same number. Oh, I think I forgot my negative 9 because you're subtracting 9 on both sides. Okay, so we have x squared minus 14x plus 49. Okay, and then I think combining the one on the left is very easy. Yeah, that's positive 40. And then, what about this one? Can you give me, or can you think of two numbers that when you multiply, you'll get 49? I think that's super easy. 49 is the only one I could think of is 7 times 7. But 7 times 7, 7 times 7 will, 7 plus 7 will not give me negative 14. So I think I would need to make them both negative. What do you guys think? Yeah. So let's make them both negative. And let's see if that works out. Negative 7 times negative 7 will give you a positive 49. Negative 7 plus negative 7 will give you a negative 14. And I think that works out. And because they are the same, we can make that squared equals 40. And now let's join in the 40 in there. X minus 7 minus 40 equal to 0. This is what we call our vertex form. And now we're ready to solve it. So I think we needed space here. So let's make a space. Okay, so let's solve x minus 7 squared minus 40 equal to 0. I think we could, hold on here. Let's just add, another sheet in here because I feel like it's like super confusing. All right, here you go. We have another sheet. So let's just put that over here. X minus 7 squared minus 40 equals 0. So I'm going to have to add 40 on both sides. I will end up with x minus 7 squared equals 40. And then what now? Square root both sides. You have x minus 7 equals, remember, plus and minus 40. And then, oh, I forgot, plus and minus square root of 40. And then you're gonna get x minus 7. Oh, this is the first time we don't have a perfect square. You know, earlier I have a square root of 36. That was just 6, right? And then I had, what was that? Square root of 16. That was a 4. But right now we don't have a perfect square. So we can factor this out. Let's try make a 3. So 40 would be 20 and 2. That's 10 and 2, right? So that is positive 2 times 2 times 10. Yeah. Or you could even break this into 5 and 2. Yeah, why don't we do that? So we can see what's going on in here. So 5 and 2. So 5 times 2. So 40 would be 2 times 2 times 5 times 2. That makes sense? Okay. We have x minus 7 equals plus and minus. And remember now, anytime that you have a double, the double goes out of the radical, right? And all the single, like the 5 is a single, 2 is a single because we don't have another 2, they stay in the radical, they stay inside the square root. So my final answer here would be 2 square root of, and then I can combine this two, that is 810. So I'm going to end up with 2 square root of 10. All right, then we have x minus 7. I can now take out the 7 on both sides, and I'll end up with x equals 7 plus and minus 2 square root of 10. Now, you know how earlier I keep combining the terms? I keep combining them and say, oh, I can still add this and I can still subtract this. But in this case, they are not like terms. But what are you talking about that they're not like terms? They're all numbers. But when I say they're not like terms, because this one has a square root, but this one doesn't have. So we can leave this as is. And our final answer is 7 plus and minus 2 square root of 10. We can't combine them, of course, if we turn the square root of 10 into a decimal, but that is going to be all decimals now, right? But the goal in here is to just solve the quadratic equation, and I think we've already solved it. So we can leave that as is. Okay, let's have, do you think you guys need another example? Let's have one last example before I um, give you guys the homework. So let's try to, what are we going to do here? Oh, there you go. Let's try to add a page. So I think we could, let's add a page right here at the bottom. Okay, what if I have, okay, what do you guys have in there? In example number 3, I have x squared minus 8x minus 8 equal to 0. Okay, and again, we need to have a perfect square trinomial. And I keep saying perfect square trinomial, right? And if you have not watched the video Quadratics 3, Quadratics 4.2, you're going to be confused. So make sure you watch that first. Okay, so how do we make a perfect square trinomial? If we divide our b value by 2 and square it, negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16. So in order for us to make a perfect square trinomial, we need to have a 16 in there where the negative 8 is at right now. So we need to kick out negative 8 to have a space for the positive 16. So I have x squared minus 8x equals positive 8. All right, moving on. We have x squared minus 8x. Now I can put my 16, and whatever I do to my right, I will do to my left, right? And I think this one is really, really easy. I have a 24. Now I'm looking for two numbers that when I multiply them, I will get positive 16. When I add them, I will get negative 8. That is negative 4 and a negative 4, correct? So let us combine these two together, equals 24. And now I have my vertex form, x minus 4 squared minus 24. Remember, you're going to move that in there, equals 0. And this is called the vertex form. Now that I have a vertex form, I can now solve for the value of x. And again, I know that when I do it, I'm gonna come back to that, but I need to make sure that you know what a vertex form look like, because that doesn't look like a vertex form yet. You need to move that in there to make it a vertex form. Okay? So let's try to solve. X minus 4 squared equals 24, because I have to add 24 on both sides. So I'm going to take square root on both sides. I'll have x minus 4 equals plus and minus square root of 24. Do not forget. Oh, 24 is not a perfect square. So let's make 3. What is 24? 6 and 4, 2 and 2, 3 and 2, right? So x minus 4 equals plus and minus. Let's put them all together. 3, 2, 2, 2, right? Does that make sense? 3 times 2 is 6, 6 times 2 is 12, 12 times 2 is 24. And I'm looking for double, and I have a double there. Double means that they have to go out of the radical. So my answer is x minus 4 equals, the double goes out, double out. So 2 is out. And then I have 2 single, 3 times 2, so I can just combine that into 6. Okay, now I'm gonna move the 4 out of the way. And remember, I always want to put the plus and minus in the middle. So x is equal to 4, the one that you move, plus and minus 2, square root of 6. And because this term has a square root, this one doesn't have, you just gonna leave it as is. So our final answer is 4 plus and minus 2 square root of 6. On the next page, you'll have your homework. If you have your first quarter your packet, it's on page 86 and 87. Thank you guys. I hope this video helps you how to solve quadratic equation using completing the square. And make sure to do your homework. And if you have a question, let me know. I will see you on the next video. Bye.